How Christianity and Islam teach respect for creation and nature. Since the natural world is seen as a reflection of divine will, both Islam and Christianity place a strong emphasis on respecting creation and the natural world. According to the idea that God created everything, all religions teach that people have a sacred duty to protect the environment. This common dedication to stewardship includes the values of responsibility, moderation, and the inherent worth of every living thing. In this video, we will emphasize how Christianity and Islam teach respect for creation and nature. Number 7. Divine creation. A fundamental concept of the sacredness of creation is established by the affirmation of the ideas that God is the ultimate creator of the universe by both Islam and Christianity. The act of creation communicates important theological truths about the character of God and humanity's place in the universe, and it is more than just a historical narrative. Christians have a sense of reverence and awe for the natural world because they believe that God created it and all its inhabitants, and that the natural world is a reflection of God's glory and creativity. Similar to this, the Quran in Islam emphasizes that Allah is the creator of everything, citing the earth and the heavens as symbols of his might and knowledge. The Quranic verses accentuate the intricacy and beauty of creation, imploring believers to consider the natural world as proof of Allah's existence. Those who hold this common belief in the existence of divine creation feel obligated to preserve and care for the environment as a sacred trust. Number 6. Stewardship responsibility. The idea of stewardship in Christianity has its roots in the conviction that because we are made in God's image, we have a special place and duty in the created order. As responsible stewards, we must not only exercise dominion over the earth, but also take care of it. The biblical instruction to fill the earth and subdue it, found in Genesis 1:28, is frequently read as a call to stewardship as opposed to exploitation. The natural world needs to be protected and nurtured for future generations, so Christians are urged to see their relationship with it as one of caretaking. The concept of Khalifa in Islam emphasizes that people are chosen by Allah to rule the earth in accordance with divine guidance, reinforcing this duty. This stewardship is a sacred duty that calls for treating all living things with ethics and compassion, not just those in positions of authority. Both traditions emphasize that stewardship entails actively participating in preserving the environment and advancing ecological health, and is a reflection of one's faith and obedience to God. Number 5. Intrinsic value of creation. The teachings of Islam and Christianity that all living things have intrinsic value because they are a part of God's creation help to create a profound respect for the natural world. The idea that all life is valuable and deserving of care is emphasized by the Christian belief that all creatures were created by God. This viewpoint exhorts Christians to view plants, animals, and ecosystems as essential components of God's creation that enhance global harmony rather than just as resources for human use. Scriptures such as Psalm 104, which teach about the interconnectedness of all life, celebrate the diversity of creation and emphasize the significance of each individual creature in God's design. Islam fosters awe for the natural world because the Quran highlights how all creatures live in communities with humans. The belief that all life is sacred and deserving of respect is reinforced by the Quran's teaching that every living thing glorifies Allah in some manner. Because of this inherent value, Muslims and Christians alike follow moral principles that advance the welfare of the environment and all of its inhabitants. Number 4. The earth as a trust. The idea that God has given humanity the earth and its resources is expressed in both Christianity and Islam, and it has significant effects on how followers of these religions interact with the natural world. The idea of stewardship in Christianity is strongly related to the notion that people have a duty to treat the earth with care because it is a gift from God. By promoting sustainable living, this viewpoint helps believers protect the environment and ensure that natural resources are used wisely for the benefit of future generations. The biblical concept of justice, which calls on Christians to think about how their actions affect the most vulnerable members of society and the environment, is frequently associated with the idea of caring for creation. Similar to this, Muslims believe that Allah has given humanity the earth as a trust, so they are responsible for how they treat the environment. The Quran emphasizes that once the earth has been brought into order, humans must not destroy it. This trust covers the ethical treatment of animals, the maintenance of ecological balance, and the preservation of natural resources. Both traditions stress that disobeying this trust is a grave moral transgression and that followers must behave in a way that respects this obligation from God. Number 3. Moderation and avoidance of wastefulness. Both Islam and Christianity promote moderation in consumption and the avoidance of wastefulness as signs of their devotion to sustainability and reverence for the natural world. Christianity encourages followers of Jesus to live simply and to be conscious of their consumption patterns through a number of biblical passages. Jesus, for example, reminds us not to put material wealth above spiritual values when he says to store up treasures in heaven. This principle is consistent with the notion that Christians should embrace more sustainable lifestyles because excessive consumption can result in social injustice and environmental degradation. Islam places great emphasis on ecological balance and abstaining from excess, and this idea of balance is fundamental to the faith. The explicit warning against wastefulness found in the Quran is based on the statement that Allah detests those who waste. Muslims are urged by this teaching to live in moderation in all spheres of life, including consumption, and to be conscious of their environmental impact. Because both traditions place a strong emphasis on moderation, followers are encouraged to adopt practices that respect the environment and its resources, which promote a sustainable culture. Number 2, accountability for environmental actions. Both Islam and Christianity instill in their followers a sense of moral responsibility by teaching that people will be held responsible for their actions concerning the environment. The idea that people will answer to God for how they have treated God's creation is part of the Christian stewardship belief. Christians are encouraged to practice ecological justice advocacy and engage in eco-friendly activities by this accountability. The parable of the talents serves as an example of how important it is to take good care of the gifts that have been given to them, including the earth. The idea of accountability is also important in Islam, since followers are taught that on the Day of Judgment, they will be asked about their care for the planet. Every action will be considered and people will be held accountable for their decisions, the Quran emphasizes. This viewpoint supports the notion that taking care of the environment is a moral duty with long-term consequences, in addition to being a matter of personal preference. Given that how people treat the environment reflects their faith, followers of both traditions are urged to consider their behavior and work towards practices that advance ecological justice and health. Number 1. Interfaith dialogue and collaborative efforts. Islam and Christianity both have a strong commitment to environmental stewardship, which serves as a solid basis for interfaith cooperation and joint efforts to address today's environmental issues. Since both religions acknowledge that creation is sacred and that it is our duty to care for it, there are opportunities to work together on projects that advance ecological justice and sustainability. By combining the best aspects of both traditions, interfaith partnerships can address urgent problems like deforestation, climate change, and biodiversity loss while promoting a feeling of community and common purpose. For example, a number of interfaith groups have developed to promote environmental conservation, bringing together Muslim and Christian leaders to create awareness and spur action. Together, followers of these two faiths can make a greater difference in society and show that reverence for the natural world knows no religious bounds. In addition to increasing the efficacy of environmental programs, this cooperative approach promotes respect and understanding between various religious communities and a more harmonious coexistence of humans and the natural world. The teachings of these two major religions ultimately stress that protecting the environment is a sacred duty that symbolizes one's faith and reverence for the divine, in addition to being a practical necessity. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe.